Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of What the F. Now I've been gone for a good couple of weeks now. I haven't done a new video in ages, and the reason being primarily I think I said in the last video that I did that I was finding it hard coming up with subjects. Also, I'm changing the format of the show slightly. Now you might have noticed if you watch the opening credits that they're different, that I actually include a sort of co-host for this show now, if you will, and it's my dear friend Carol O'Donovan. Now I spoke about in the past about how I was going to maybe collaborate with a friend. Well, this is it. The idea is she's kind of reluctant to appear on camera. Hopefully I'll change that at some stage, but for now her involvement will be mainly like in textually, which basically that's probably not even a word, but basically the format of the show now will be I'll pick the topic as per usual, and what I'll get her to do then is she'll write out an email, she'll write out a paragraph or two of her opinion on the matter, and I will use her quotes exactly. I'm not going to pick and choose and paraphrase. I'm going to read exactly what she wrote, and I'm gonna either argue against her or agree with her. So it'll be kind of like I have a little bit of a co-host to this. And sometimes, the odd time, I might do a video by myself, depending on how long it takes for her to get back to me with her opinion on whatever topic that I decide to do. So, but basically, hopefully what I want to do is get back to a regular schedule. What I'm going to do is this is going to be, instead of weekly, it's going to be fortnightly, and the reason for that is one of the things I was finding it hard to do is coming up with topics, subjects. What am I going to talk about? So I figure what I'll do is I'll give myself time to think of multiple subjects, so I'll always have a batch at hand. So that's what it's going to be, fortnightly episode release. Right now, so the topic that I'm going to talk about was actually brought to me by Carol, and we've had many debates about varying things over the years. We've known each other, and this one she recently brought to my attention, and it's about page 3. Now, most people know watching this video and probably will know what page 3 is, but for those who don't, page 3 is it's a feature in the British newspaper called The Sun, where on page 3 there's a topless woman. Now, it's been like that for as long as I can remember, and it's been a feature in the newspaper for years. Now, I don't buy the paper because again, tabloid newspapers are a subject that I'll come to at some stage. Or basically, they're all full of dribble and useless information to me. There's nothing in them of interest to me. I don't care about David Beckham's new hairstyle or anything like that. But again, that'll be another video topic. But so I don't really buy the paper, but I've been aware of page 3 my whole life. I'll be honest, that's probably where I first saw naked breasts in my life. Probably that, because again, there was, there's all sorts of kind of, pornographic material out there, but that was sort of the one you could get hold of easy because it was in a newspaper that you could buy in the newsagents. So I've been aware of it and I've seen it, and again, I really couldn't care less one way or the other what happens to it, but it was brought to my attention because a campaign was started actually 2 years ago in 2012. I'll be glancing off camera now occasionally because I've got info and Carol's opinions on the matter written down in the word pad here. But the campaign for No More Page 3, which is what it's called, No More Page 3, was started by a woman called Lucy-Anne Holmes, an actress and writer, and she started this campaign in 2012 to essentially get rid of page 3. And she's received quite a lot of support she's received a lot from a lot of the political parties. Over 140 members of parliament have backed her campaign. Many groups and organisations such as the National Assembly for Wales, Women's Aid, Aid Violence Against Women, White Ribbon Campaign, Everyday Sexism Project, a lot of women's groups and a lot of abuse groups, like groups that would be against pornography and material like that, or allowing children access to material like that. A lot of groups like that have backed this campaign. Now, my basic opinion on the matter is, again, as I said earlier, I don't care. Because we're living in the internet age now where I could go online right now and see a lot more hardcore material than page 3. And again, all page 3 is, it's not massively gratuitous like a lot of other porn, a lot of softcore porn is. It's just a topless woman, a woman with her breasts out. And again, the campaign's trying to get rid of that, and I just I don't care, to be honest with you, because again, as I said, there's a lot more worse material out there. There's a lot more stuff out there that you should be focusing on. Like, there's the top shelf magazines like Playboy, which shows a lot more than Page 3 does, and there's other magazines like Nuts, Zoo, Loaded, even to a certain extent FHM, although FHM never has topless in it. Loaded does, and Nuts and Zoo they do. Right, so like, FHM I don't mind, but the rest I can see why people would have an issue with, because it's easy material to access, especially page 3, because it's in a newsagent. You can just walk in, buy the newspaper, and leave. There's no age restriction on a newspaper. And I only recently learned of this campaign, and I neither support nor bring it down, because I can see from a certain point of view why women would be offended by it. And that's where my friend Carol comes into the frame now. I'll read her comments, and what I asked her to do is write me an email, write me something in paragraphs, and give me her opinion on the matter. And I told her what I'll do is I'll read each paragraph, and then I'll give my opinion on what she says in the paragraph. Because again, hopefully I'll get her on camera someday, but for now, excuse me, this I'll have to do. Right, so the first part, her opinion on the page 3 matter. The first paragraph says, "To me, this represents control. To have the men at all times fully clothed shows that they are in control. The women, on the other hand, are by their nakedness shown as exposed and vulnerable. Page 3 is a striking example of how men and women are treated differently in the media generally." Now, representing of control. I would maybe disagree with that to a point, because the women in page 3, it's not like a gun is being held to their head to pose topless like this. They're adult women, they're not teenagers. Because again, if this was fucking page 3 with 15-year-olds, then absolutely fucking that's wrong. Because again, it's below the age of what is considered consent for something like that. But the women in page 3 tend to be above the age of 18. Well, most of the time they are, because again, anything below the age of 18 is seen as jailbait or just illegal. So the notion that it represents control, I kind of don't agree with it a little bit, because again, they're willing participants in this. They're not being forced to. They're women who are apparently proud of their bodies and don't mind showing them off. So I don't agree with that a little bit. And to have the men at all times fully clothed shows that they are in control. I agree with that, because there's pictures all in the paper all the time of scantily clad men as well sometimes, but most of the time men in those newspapers are fully clothed. So that it does show a degree of control in that sense, in that you're not going to see you don't see scantily clad men all that often, unless it's some celebrity on a beach but he's wearing shorts. You'll never see a naked man. But you'll never see a naked woman either, mind you. Page 3's never been completely naked. She's always either had jeans, a skirt, or whatever. Either way, the bottom half is covered, so it's never been complete and total nudity. So, page 3 is a striking example of how men and women are treated differently in the media in general. Well, I suppose it is, because again, as I said, you don't see, there isn't a section, this page 3 is specifically for women. It's never alternated. I mean, it's not like on page 4 you have a naked man. It's it definitely shows how they're treated differently between the sexes, because you have the woman on page 3 topless, and any other representation in the newspaper of a man, he's fully clothed, unless it's some celebrity on the beach, in which case he's wearing shorts. So it's excuse me, it definitely shows the inequality of the matter, that men, there's no scantily clad men or naked men in the newspaper, but there is of the women. So I can see that point. Second paragraph: if you scan the shelves of any newsagents, you will be assaulted with many images on the front covers of magazines. What I have noted is that women are often shown wearing very little and striking provocative poses on the cover of men's and women's magazines and the tabloid press. The women are almost being unwrapped before our eyes. Again, she's basically taking issue with all the magazines and all the newspapers that'll have the scantily clad woman out there. And basically, it's the old phrase that sex sells. If you see something like a very kind of scantily clad woman, or I'm sure if they used it, a scantily clad man, it sells quicker, because guys will see a scantily clad woman on the front of a magazine. Magazines like Loaded or FHM, and they think, oh shit, scantily clad woman, I'm having that. Because they want to see more of the scantily clad woman on the inside of the pages. And it's like that most of the time for a lot of the magazines, because frankly, I've always had the opinion that women are just better looking than men. I mean, I think one of the primary reasons why there's so much advertising out there with scantily clad women is because women are just better looking than us. But that depends on perspective. That's my perspective. Women are just better looking than men. And therefore, a pretty face, like a woman's face on a magazine, will sell it. But again, like, it at the same time might objectify the woman, because you're not seeing all that person is. You're just seeing the physical. You're just seeing the outside. There's more to a woman than just what you see on the outside. But that's all anyone is seeing. Therefore, a lot of guys will think that's all they care about. That's all they give a shit about, because they don't know the personality. They just know the physical, and they just see a beautiful woman. So it certainly does objectify them in that sense. And again, it's the inequality of the fact that when you see a man on the front cover of a magazine or a newspaper, he's generally fully clothed. Like I saw a magazine there recently, I think Benedict Cumberbatch, Sherlock, was on the cover in a nice suit. He didn't have a shirt off, he didn't have things thrown on. I have seen magazines where that is. I mean, I have seen magazines where men are shirtless on the cover, but there's not many of them. You look at the shelves, go look, and guarantee you it's mostly women. And again, I can see how they would have a problem with that, because it's objectifying them. And so I can see that point. Excuse me. Next paragraph. Men, on the other hand, tend to be shown looking very handsome, usually in a well-tailored suit. I will admit to having a liking for handsome men. Remember, this is Carol's paragraph, not me saying this. I'm reading what she wrote. Or at least those I consider to be handsome, in a well-tailored suit. But for me, this again reinforces the issue of power and control. And I suppose it does, because if you look at the inside cover of most of these magazines, you'll see that the editor or the owner of the magazine, of most of these magazines, be they for women or for men, they tend to be owned by men. It's a male-dominated industry, the publishing industry, and publishing magazines and books and such tends to be a male-dominated world. Most job arenas are, sadly, male-dominated. But so the issue of power control in regards to the perception that you'll have a man on the front cover of a magazine, and he'll have a suit, he'll have nice clothes on, whereas you put a woman on the front cover of the magazine, she's generally scantily clad, well, maybe bikini or whatever, showing some flesh, some nudity. And again, I can see the inequality there, because that tends to be, as I said, because the men are in control. I'm not bragging, I don't say that as like, ooh, for men, we rule. It's just the way the world has turned. Men came out on top in terms of how the running of things in the world. Again, that's not a good thing. An unequal world is a world out of balance. The fact that women in the world don't have the true equality that men have. We have all the rights. Women have many shit tons, loads of rights, but again, there's still inequality in the world. That again, that's a world out of balance because you can't have one without the other. Men don't exist without women, and vice versa. You can't have one without the other. So that it's the notion that there's no equality, that there's no true equality there is ridiculous. There should be. And again, when you have the scantily clad woman on the front of the magazine, it's primarily down to the fact that again, men are running the magazine. So when a man wants to sell his product, what's he going to do? Put himself on the cover or a woman? He's going to put the woman on the cover. Again, I'm speaking from the perspective, I'm not necessarily saying this is a good thing. This is just why I think it is the way it is. I mean, again, you look at magazines with men on the cover, clothed. Magazines with women on the cover tend to be more scantily clad than that. So there's definite control issues there because most of the publishers are men. And then she poses a question. Carol poses a question. Her question is, why can't women appear on the cover of magazines fully clothed, looking classy and in control of their own destiny? Why not indeed? Again, I can't argue against that point. There have been little bits in the comments I've read so far that I have argued and disagreed with. But this, you can't. I mean, me personally, as nice as it is seeing a scantily clad woman, a semi-naked woman, even a fully naked woman, as beautiful and nice as that is to see, it sometimes takes the mystery out of it. Because again, this might sound very male, and I don't know how it's going to come across, but I'm going to fucking say it anyway. When I see a beautiful woman and she has clothes on, she might have a dress on, she might have a shirt and jeans or whatever. Either way, she's fully clothed. There's an air of mystery there because when a man pursues a woman, he likes to pursue the woman. Maybe things are going well, then eventually he might get the clothes off and see what's underneath. He might see the nudity. Because again, men like to see naked women and women like to see naked men. That's just fact. But we're bombarded with so much by the imagery of naked women, be it in page 3 or other forms of hard or soft porn. There's no mystery. The mystery's gone. I mean, I can look at a woman fully clothed and think, well, I know what's under there. I mean, of course we know what's under there. They're naked. But the point is that the mystery of it is gone because there's no kind of like, I wonder what she looks like under there. We all have a basic idea because we've all seen nudity, be it on film or in real life or wherever. An air of mystery is gone. But I personally, as much as I like seeing, a semi-naked woman or a naked woman, a woman with nice clothes on is just as fucking sexy and beautiful as without anything on. Again, if anything, you see a naked woman, you're like, well, again, mystery gone. I've seen this. I haven't earned this. I haven't worked towards getting to this point. So it's kind of like, damn. But a woman with a nice, lovely dress on, or whatever she's wearing, it's beautiful. I mean, like the recent Oscars, for instance. Women watch them and like to look at the fashion. Men in general, I watched the Oscars and I looked at the red carpet and I saw the women looking. Nice clothes everyone was wearing, both women and men. But I liked looking at the women in particular because it's one of the few times in the year where you're going to see a beautiful actress with her clothes completely on. Now again, there are probably actresses out there who don't get nude or don't get semi-naked for their acting. Whether they need to or not, I don't care. But you see them, these beautiful women, in beautiful clothes. And there were some stunning looking women at the Oscars this year. I mean, Angelina Jolie is just one example. She's stunning. Stunning woman anyway, but she looked fantastic at the Oscars recently. Now, if she had arrived at the Oscars scantily clad with a fucking short skirt on and fucking, it would just be wrong, I mean, she would never do that anyway. But it wouldn't look right because it's just, again, it's the mystery of it. It's the fact that, what she got under that, And again, it pushes a man to, to work towards women in the right way, because he's not just looking right. I want to see the nudity. He's like, if I don't work for it, a proper man, a real man will approach a woman, get to know her, and if it leads in that direction, fair enough. But it shouldn't be the be all end all of the pursuit. It should be the bonus. Intimate contact with a woman in that way should be the bonus, not the be all end all of the whole thing. But the fact that, again, women personally, there's the phrase "less is more," and that is the less is more and more is less. I hear those phrases bandied about a lot, like less is more when it comes to makeup on women, and then more is less when it comes to their clothing. And it's kind of true, because I'd much prefer a nice woman with nice clothes on. She looks a lot more stunning and a lot more beautiful when she's fully clothed. The final bit of this email that Carol sent me says, I know some will say that the women are there because they chose to be, and I accept that this is their prerogative. But what kind of message does that send to our children? One that says girls are to be rated on physical appearance and judged by their bust measurements, not their IQ. And that's basic. That's a good way to end that, because she's basically saying that women should be judged based on what's more important, judged more on what's in the inside. That's a cliched phrase, but it's true. Women should be judged more by what's inside rather than what's outside. Excuse me. And I agree wholeheartedly. Because the problem, I said earlier that the issue is that we're bombarded so much with all this nudity and all this graphic imagery when it comes to women and sexy and beautiful women. Is that's all we're seeing? We're not seeing the person behind the mask, if you will. Because women who pose for these magazines, they pose for Playboy, Nuts, and Zoo, and all these other things. I would imagine that in their private life, in their private moments, they're not outwardly sexy like they're being in the magazine. They're not hanging around their house naked, fucking posing in various states of undress at all. I would imagine they're probably in PJs, like I'm in my PJs now. I would imagine a woman who poses naked all day long for whatever doesn't go home and pose all naked all day long for other things. She gets into maybe comfortable clothes and just relaxes. And we're not seeing that side of things. We're just seeing the physical. We're seeing the nudity, and that conjures up all sorts of ideas in a guy's head about what that woman is like. Like you might see a woman in Nuts and she's posing suggestively. A guy might think things like, "Oh, I bet she's good. I bet she's good at it." They might say and think things like that. And the sad perception is then that they might think this is the way women are. This is the way women are meant to be. They're not knowing what's behind it. The physical is important in any relationship. The physical component is absolutely very important. But again, it isn't the be all end all of a relationship. And it's the downside of the overexposure of women in the media in varying states of undress, because a guy that will feed a guy's perception of what a woman should be and what a woman is like, and that's wrong, because not all women are like that. I mean, I'm sure that these women who pose naked like that, who varying states of undress and such, they're probably perfectly nice people. I mean, I'll give an example: Jodie Marsh. Now, I can already imagine Carol watching this video cringing when I say that name, because she's well known for her naked shoots, and I personally think she's a fucking stunning woman. But what I find more attractive about her, as much as she looks good naked, what I find more attractive about her is what she does in something like, she started out in a similar vein to Jordan, where just the perception of the woman was always she's nothing but tits and ass. That's all she's worth. But in later times, she's done more. She's a campaigner now against bullying. She's made documentaries about bullying and how we can combat it. She's made documentaries about the sex industry and how bad it is. She went on to do bodybuilding and win a title for that. As much as she still does nude shoots, she also still, I mean, like, you know, we're seeing more of her personality now than we ever did in the past. Because I mean, I would admit my perception of the woman before was she's a sexy looking lady, you know, she looks lovely naked. I like her, I like the look of her, she looks grand. But now that I know more about her, now that she's starting to put more of her personality out there, my perception of her has changed. She's a woman to be, in my opinion, she is a woman to be admired. Because she's going beyond the perception of what people used to have of her, and she's doing good work. And that's what might happen with these page 3 women. The women of page 3 might do good things in their private lives, but no one ever knows that. All they know is that they're semi-naked with their breasts out on page 3. So, in that sense, I suppose, yeah, I would support the campaign to get rid of page 3. In that sense, because it's the ease of access, and it basically would take that image away from younger people who would have easy access to it, and they might start thinking properly about women the way they should be thought about. Right? So that's it, I think. You can tell my voice sounds a bit hoarse because I recently had a cold, so it's a bit sore at the moment. But I thought I'd make this video because I just felt I wanted to get back into it. This topic was brought to me and I thought a lot about it and I had opinions about it. So, yeah, thank you. Thanks to you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your opinions. If you would like to leave a comment in the comment box below the video, you know, feel free to do so. My contact info regards to email, Twitter, and Instagram and such, it will be in the closing credits of this video. I'd like to thank my friend Carol for coming on board with this. I hopefully will make more videos like this in the future, and hopefully someday get her on camera. Because I mean, this is good. This is the only way this collaboration will work for the time being. She'll email me her opinions on the topic, and I'll read them as I have done. So again, thanks again, Carol, for the email. Great points made, and I'll be back again in 2 weeks. Again, this is going to be a fortnightly show from now on. I'll be back again in 2 weeks with a brand new episode, and that's it for now. So take care, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.